excited to bring to you the release of the 2020 Red Vintage. Quick description, overall, it was kind of interesting. It was a really cool growing season. Simply put, like, just wasn't quite as hot. Just a short little spell there right in the middle where it got good and hot. Otherwise, a little on the cool side. What does that do? It brings out some really cool features in the wines. We've got this really vivid fruit flavor expression in the wines that I would describe as kind of that classic fine wine, fabulous elegance, finesse, that type of stuff. Really pleasant. I'm really enjoying these wines. And so I'm going to tell you one by one, real quickly, a little bit about them. We have a couple that are coming back that have been off the flight for a little while, so we're really excited to have those. The first one is going to be this Cabernet Franc. So for all you Cab Franc lovers, this one has all that classic varietal character of raspberries and violets. Very smooth, that nice medium weight. If you've liked our Francs all along, initial feedback is this one's spot on. Everybody's going to love it. So we're excited to have that one back on the flight. Second one is Petite Syrah. So again, in a little bit cooler year, it isn't quite that super intense, dark West Coast style Petite Syrah. Takes that little step back towards that more medium weight, so the weight matches up a little bit more with the Cabernet Franc, but really has that great structured characteristic to it that we find consistently in Petite Syrah, that nice little expression of tannin. Really nice. I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy that one. Then we go into Petit Verdot, pretty classic, really consistent for us. All that big front palate, dark, jammy, purple characteristic with that really smooth and pleasant finish. Everything I always love about Petit Verdot is right in there. Again, great berry and fruit characteristics. Then we have also returning to the flight, very excited, Tannat. And is, again, everything that you actually look for in a Tannat. It was really kind of interesting because the two different blocks from the front field and the back field, each picked with the cooler season, a little bit on the tart side, but the blending, once the proportions came together just right, coolest thing ever. Came out really smooth, really pleasant, great balance to it, all that dark concentration that we love in Tannat. This is going to age really well, as our Tannats consistently do. Personally, real excited about this one. Then we have Crooked Run. The 2020 vintage is a blend, so as usual, this one is Petit Verdot, Tannat, and then Petite Syrah. This really is your like classic, elegant, fine wine. Great complexity, great fruit flavors, ultra smooth, not overbearing, just absolutely the kind of wine that I love. So this one's going to do really well for us also. Then we have one cool surprise that hopefully enough of you catch because it's a tiny little bit. Our first Norton that is grown with Mike and Oya Macy over in the Plains. They have a half-acre plot that we've been working together on. This is the first one that we've put out. Was a small crop that first season, so we only produced about 24 cases of it. A decent little bit of that stayed with the Macy's or returned home to them. So we have a really small amount of this, so this is actually on a limited allocation for club members that are interested. This is produced in amphora. It was 4 weeks on the skins in the amphora. The amphora nicely breathes a little bit to soften that acidity that we find in the Norton. But when we really focus on growing the Norton really well, the same as we grow all of our European vinifera vines, it really is just coming into great balance with the little bit earlier ripening we're getting under climate change. This one's coming in better than ever. So with really good ripeness, I'm excited about this. It has the nice little amphora icon right at the top of the bottle. We have named it Büyük Baba, which means grandfather in Turkish, and that's the nickname Oya's family, Oya's from Turkey, has given to Mike Macy. And so we named our smaller original amphora Büyük Baba for the fun of it. And so it is in honor of Mike and the amphora and the concept of grandfather being respect for ancient winemaking techniques and those that have come before us. So excited to try that one out. Super limited production. If you're not a Norton fan, you might become one. Move fast because it'll go quick. Overall, in terms of how these wines are going to age, I think they're going to follow really well with kind of our classic pattern with Arterra Wines. That means when we're releasing them, they're just at their initial phase of maturity. So the beginning of September, sometimes they seem kind of bright and a little bit lighter. By the time we get into early October, they're really rounding a corner. You get more of that depth, rich, fuller characteristic to them. Another corner's turned as we would get into the Christmas, New Year's time frame. And over the course of a full year, we integrate some of these youthful features of brightness and they become more creamy features of depth. Really looking at most of the wines being ideal in the 1 to 3 years after we release them as an ideal point for development. Tannats we've always found are really good for long-term aging, and I'm actually expecting the Norton to kind of follow suit with that. So that's going to wrap up our 2020 release. Really excited about it for some things coming back on the plate, some new things happening. Overall, I think really nice wine. So enjoy. Thank you.